when looking at the 53, right, now that it's set, The Athletic came out with its win-loss projection for teams and where it thinks certain teams are going to sit. And I know we've heard the national nerds out here say Bears are a 3-win team, right? Orlovsky's always talking garbage about us for some. How is it that he went from giving praise to Justin Fields to all of a sudden he's got to disrespect a Darnell Mooney just because he's out of the 5th round? Like, that was wild to me. But anyway, the Athletic put out their win-loss projections, right? They've got the Buffalo Bills winning 11.6, Packers winning 11.4. I'm in agreement on both of those on that. Cowboys with 10 wins. I disagree with that. The Cowboys are the Cowboys. I'm not buying it. Chiefs with 10 wins. I think the Chiefs could win more, but that defense is going to be interesting to see how that comes together, especially without the Honey Badger. Tampa at 10 wins. I kind of agree with that. Rams at 10 wins. I don't know about that one. Colts at 10 wins, not surprising on that. Ravens at 9 wins. Chargers at 9 wins. Frisco at 9 wins. Vikings at 9 wins. Bengals at 9 wins. Denver at 9 wins. Saints at 9 wins. Philly at 9 wins. A lot of teams at 9 wins out here. Dolphins at 9 wins. Another interesting one that I feel like is, you're going to have to show me that. I'm sorry. Tua is a what? Tua's that dude? Like, all of a sudden he's that dude? I don't know about that one. Arizona with 8.7 wins. Are we rounding up? 8.7. I don't know if we're rounding up here. Patriots 8.6. Again, I hope Mac Jones looks a lot better. Anybody see that interception? That mug was crazy, dog. Tennessee with 8 wins. I think they'll run their way to 8 wins, so I'm not surprised by that. Vegas with 8 wins, Browns with 8 wins, Washington with 8 wins, Panthers with 7.5 wins. I was a little surprised by that. Steelers with 7 wins, which I hope they get more than that, because I feel like if they get 7 wins, at some point we're going to see Kenny Pickett in that mug. And I hope Mitch wins that job. I just do. Lions with 6 wins. 6.9. So actually they have the Lions with 7 wins technically. I don't know about that one. The Lions with 7 wins is interesting. Your Giants have 6 wins. Jacksonville has 6 wins. Seattle has 6 wins. And the Bears come in at 5.9. So basically 6 wins as well. So they have us as 4th in the division. They have us winning 6 games this season. I can't say that's a terrible assessment. I think the part that I'm most confused on is the Lions winning 7 games. But, I mean, that is what it is. But 6 wins to me, that's not that surprising for the Chicago Bears. I could see us being around there. I also could see us being around my prediction of 9 wins, right? Because the NFL season is weird. Listen, we play a couple of teams that have already had massive injuries to their team already. We play the Cowboys, and I'll tell you what, if Robert Quinn is healthy, they're going to have a hard time slowing Robert Quinn down with no left tackle. I feel like the Bears can find their way to 9 wins, but I can't say that this is a poor assessment. Basically, what the article says is from Kevin Fishbane is probably fair considering the litany of questions facing the 2022 Bears. Though it's worth noting that the team is ranked 32nd, 31st, 28th, 26th, and 25th are all on their, that teams ranked 32nd, 31st, 28th, 26th, and 25th are all on their schedule. These teams might all be looking at the Bears as a win if quarterback Justin Fields takes off and head coach Matt Eberflus's defense becomes a takeaway machine. They'll go over, but the personnel alone makes this number seem right. And that assessment of it, to me, I understand. There's a ton of question marks on this team. There's a ton of question marks on these players. There's a ton of question marks on what this team is going to be able to do when the game matters. And that's why I'm not killing this assessment of it. But if those questions are answered, i.e. maybe week 1, right? I think there's a lot of people that have us losing to the 49ers. I think that's the best game the Bears can sneak out. There's a lot of people that have us losing to the Jets. There's a lot of people that have us losing to the Falcons. There's a lot of people that have us losing to the Dolphins. And I look at all those games and I'm exactly the opposite. I'm like, man, that looks like a pretty guaranteed win to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But I mean, I think that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, right? Like, what is this team going to be? How's this team going to answer those questions? And how does this team put itself in a position to go get wins? I'm not saying that the Athletics assessment of it is wrong. What I'm saying is, to me, I have that same assessment for a lot of those teams that we play. By the way, a lot of those teams that are on this list are much lower than the Chicago Bears on the win total projections. So even they kind of look at those teams and say, yeah, they're pretty bad. But I think the question is, right, when you have a team like this that is young, especially at your offensive line position, that is trying to grow something, that's trying to build something, you have to look at it and say, okay, can they be consistent at what they want to do? I think that's the biggest question that falls around this Bears team right now. The consistency. I think Braxton Jones can play. He's still a rookie. How consistently is he going to be able to play at this level and not have moments where he drops down to here? Because one moment where you drop down to here could be a sack that causes your quarterback to fumble the football or throw an interception, and now the ball's going the other way. Right? I think Tevin Jenkins is a really good right guard. Same thing applies to him. Or he could be a good right guard. Same thing applies to him. Now, it also goes into the question mark, right? And I think it's a lot of things that a lot of these national nerds don't take into account when they're making these lists. And I'm not saying Fishbane's here, so I'm not saying that he's a national nerd at all. And he's usually pretty even keel on it. I actually like reading his articles and stuff like that. It's why I have The Athletic. But the thing for me is with this team right here is that a lot of people don't take into account is how do the coaches call plays? Your coaches can put you in a position to be crazy successful. Now, you still have to have the talent to do it, but your coaches can put you in a position to be crazy successful. Your coaches can put you in a position where all of a sudden you're making plays on the fly that you're dominating. That's, to me, the biggest question surrounded by this Bears team. Not only the talent on the field, but, hey, is Luke Getsy going to be able to consistently call the right play? Is he going to consistently be put in positions where he's just going to be able to handle it every time? I don't know that. He's never been an offensive coordinator before. I think those are the questions that you really have to look at when you're talking about the win-loss projections. I feel good about it based on how I saw games called throughout the preseason, right? I think that's the only thing that you can look at in preseason and feel a little bit better about. And, of course, right, you want to talk about how these guys are able to move up and able to improve during the season and stuff like that, right? Like if Justin Fields gets comfortable and he gets in a rhythm, all of a sudden Luke's calling bigger and better plays and the Bears are throwing that mug downfield and there's tutties everywhere. Then I said tutties. Then all of a sudden, right, it's a whole different ball game. Then it changes things, right? But I think it all starts with being able to call plays. And like I said, that's the one thing in preseason that you see. These coaches can call plays throughout a season or throughout a preseason game, and you can be like, hey, like, that was a good play call for the defense that rolled out there. That's where you feel good about it. That's pretty much it for me today, guys. I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us. What do you guys think as far as the Bears win total? Do you think the Bears go over 6.9? Do you think the Bears go under 6.9? Where do you see the Bears winning games in this mug, man? We'll have this posted on the podcast page tonight, so tune in with that. It'll also be up for you tomorrow if you weren't able to listen to the entire thing, or you can go back and watch the video. That's always fun as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bears content. Click the links in the description below